Standard of Practice 1-3, realtors in attempting to secure a listing shall not deliberately mislead the owner as to the market value.
Now, in getting a listing from a seller who might be thinking of getting a premium price for the property well above the comparative market value range of prices, some real estate agents, in order to obtain that listing, I've been told, might kind of puff up the price, take it well above what they think is the true market value, just to get the listing. And then, of course, maybe a few weeks later, they come back and say, well, listen, we've got some offers, but maybe the market value has dropped down.
So we're not saying that you can't take an overpriced listing.
No.
We're saying that you can't inflate the price to get that listing. So if the seller would like to think the property's worth more than it really is, and to get the listing, I tell the seller that the property's worth a lot more than it really is, that would be a violation. But if I determine what the value of a property is and the seller thinks it's worth twice as much, and I say, no, it's not, and the seller says, yes, it is, I want you to list it for this particular price, I'm not precluded from listing it at the seller's desired price. This standard of practice relates only to inflating the price in order to obtain the listing.
Deliberately misleading.
Misleading.
And you have to look at the marketplace, because we have a number of areas now where you have properties that they wind up selling well above the asking price. The realtor might have, done a very straight, honest comparative market analysis and figured this was the price, and the market is such that the sellers wind up selling it for much more. So here, the main thing to remember is you can't deliberately mislead.
Standard of Practice 1-4. Realtors, when seeking to become a buyer or tenant representative, shall not mislead buyers or tenants as to the savings or other benefits that might be realized through the use of the realtor's services.
The buyer brokers who use as a technique to get buyers the fact that they are, and only they can save the buyer substantial amounts of monies, need to be very careful how they document and present that type of information. Once again, so that it does not deliberately mislead those buyers into the kinds of services they are obtaining. Now, many of those buyer brokers are going to afford excellent service and representation, and very well may result in savings that otherwise the buyer might have committed to incur more expenses to buy the property.
But if I'm working as a buyer broker and I want to induce somebody to allow me to be their buyer broker, I better be able to document, if I'm using as marketing, that I'm going to be able to obtain a better bottom line for them, for the buyer, be able to get the property for less money, or somehow be better in negotiating, that I better have substantial documentation. Otherwise, I could find myself in violation of Article 1 and as substantiated by Standard of Practice 1-4.
Correct. So you can't mislead buyers and have good documentation.